о команде на проекте Wargaming World of Warships. Вот, и Даниил Волков вам сейчас об этом расскажет. Так что, если вам интересно, вы задерживайтесь чуть позже. У нас есть время до вечеринки на такой очень полезный education. Передаю слово.
Спасибо большое. Я вас немножко разочарую, наверное, с самого начала, потому что презентация будет на английском. Вот. Вы меня очень простите, но мне сказали, что так надо. Вот. Я бы сразу все рассказать по-русски, но поскольку я готовился по-английски, по-русски боюсь, что не очень хорошо смогу. Вот. Поэтому please bear with me, okay? And just like we've just been told, this is going to be a little bit longer presentation. This is not a 30 minutes presentation that it says on the schedule. It's going to be in 1 hour presentation, maybe a little bit less. I'll try to go as fast as I can so I don't bore you to death. And we could all go to after party and get wasted, because that's the best part of the events of this sort, right? Okay, a few words about myself. My name is Danny, and I'm the development director of World of Warships, developed by Wargaming St. Petersburg. I've been in game development for about 10 years now, and before joining Warships, I worked on relatively small titles. I've done downloadable titles for consoles, such as PSN, XBLA, Wii. Then I've also done a bunch of PC, casual downloadable games for such companies as Big Fish Games, Intenium, and Real Arcade. My majors were always management and game design. But as I worked on smaller teams, I had a chance to experience myself in many different disciplines. Right? I've done particle effects, animation, QA, scripting, programming, and all that stuff everybody does while working on a small team. What's World of Warships? World of Warships is the latest large wargaming's online title, large-scale MMO. We've launched around 6 or 7, we've done a soft launch, so we launched around 8 months ago, and we're doing really well. We're operating in 6 clusters around the world. That's CIS, Europe, North America, Southeast Asia, Korea, and China. And we're doing very, very well. We're very healthy. Our audience is very healthy. KPIs is very good. And we're looking very optimistic about the future of this title. If we're talking about the development team, we currently have around 240 people working on that project in St. Petersburg. And if we're talking about the global operation, just like with other wargaming titles, we've got 16 offices around the world who contribute to success of our titles. And if we try to count everybody who is involved in making warships, I believe, I don't know the exact number, but I think it will be something like 400 people. What this talk will be about. I will mostly talk about how we grew over the initial years of development. What problems did we have? What problems we have encountered, and how we fixed them. I've started this talk on purpose saying that my background, that I'm coming from small teams, right? The biggest achievement I think that we've made in Warships is that we managed to keep that feeling of a very small, very well working small team, but still working on a huge behemoth. And I'm going to share how we've done it. How it all started, right? It all started in 2012 when it was absolutely clear that Wargaming's title World of Tanks is a massive success. And there was clearly a demand from the community that they wanted to expand this franchise to other elements. They wanted planes, they wanted ships, and Wargaming started to look for other companies that could do the development for these titles. And they came to us. Back then we were called Lasta Studio, now Wargaming St. Petersburg. We had a really good reputation on the market. We've had necessary experience developing online titles and historical war games. And basically, they came to us. We knew each other for quite some time, developing games in similar genres for a very long time. So the negotiation process went really fast. We've done a prototype, showed that we have skilled engineers, skilled designers, and we all loved World of Tanks. We really wanted to work on something big and something meaningful, something like World of Tanks, right? So they saw our passion, and the paperwork was done really, really quickly, and we went into production. By that time in 2012, we had a relatively small team. The studio size was around 50 people, 50, and the core development group of Warships was around 35 people. The structure was very simple and very flat. We had engineers, we had art, game designers, and QA. A pretty regular setup for a medium-sized studio, right? And everything went well. This was all we needed to deliver projects in the past. And it worked. It really worked well. It worked wonderfully. Of course, we couldn't, with that size of the studio, we couldn't accomplish a really large scope, right? But if you manage scope correctly, it was easy. Planning was easy. Execution was easy. Delivery was easy. Well, you know, when I say easy, I mean game development standards easy, which is never easy, to be honest. And though the scope of Warships was extremely large, since day one, we knew that we will need to bring more people on board. And we were excited. We were really, really excited. Back in the days of smaller projects, like every new hire is such a big event because every new person on your team opens up enormous opportunities. You could do more things, more features, like improve your tools, refactor some old code that slows everybody down, and so on. So this time it was like, yes, awesome, we'll have like way more people, and it's like we could make the best project ever because we will never be short on work hands anymore. And it will be so much easier compared to old days. Hooray. So we started to grow, and as there were so many specific things that we needed to address, we started to implement a lot of specialization, right? Engineers got split into technology engineers and game engineers with different specialized teams inside. Like art started to consist of different groups as well as designers. And at the beginning, people were like very happy. They were extremely happy that they don't need to work on random things anymore. Like everybody could concentrate on something they do best. Like programmers write specific code of their preferred domain, concentrating on rendering or on tools or on game logic. Like game designers don't need helping with QAing the game anymore, and they could really like concentrate on writing documents and working on balance sheets and stuff like that. As we moved further and further, we encountered more stuff, and we needed to add more people. And the team got bigger and bigger, and the hierarchy became more and more complex every day. And we were always, no matter how many people we brought on the team, we were always overflooded with problems and issues that we needed to solve. The amount of work that we discovered as we moved forward was enormous, just enormous. And the easiest, and it's like quite reasonable solution has always been, we need a new guy to solve this, right? Pete is overloaded. Like he has too many things he needs to get done. And like, imagine what happens if he gets sick, where we'll end up in a very bad situation. We need more people. So we brought more people and more specialization. And at some point, we were not as excited as before. Planning became tremendously difficult. Delivery started to suffer. And predictability decreased greatly due to complexity. And what do you do with complexity, right? According to general rule, managing complexity is a key responsibility of a certain group of people. Who manages complexity on your teams? Who is it? Managers. Managers and team leads. By the way, these are like World Warship's mascots, and actually Fish is the smart guy, and the captain is not that smart. So I love managers. It's like in order to show you how big the complexity was, we're going, just in a minute, we're going to do a small exercise. We're going to map a workflow or an information flow on an organizational chart, and going to see how bad things were. And especially if you're working in a bigger company, I really recommend you doing something like that, because it was really eye-opening for us. And this is when we understood like what kind of problems we have, and made us think about possible solutions. Just one thing before we rush into the exercise, I would like to state a few definitions so it would be easier for you to follow. So different studios and different companies name different positions differently, because this is game development and we're all different. For the purpose of this exact exercise, when I say a manager, I mean a person who has people reporting to him, and his reports also have reports. So this is the manager of managers. And team leads are people who manages people who actually do work, right? Like artists, programmers, and stuff like that. And also to make it easier, for the purpose of this exercise, I decided that I'll take just a feature that we worked on. And I decided that we'll use chat, because I believe most of you have worked on chat features before, maybe, or even if you haven't, it's relatively easy to understand what the components of this chat system is. So, who do you need to make a chat, right? You'll need server engineer to do the back-end work. You'll need some client engineers to do the front-end work. You'll need like UX designers to design the layout. Maybe you'll need some art. And depending on the size of your team, you're either using QA or you're not using QA, and let your developers to QA everything. So depending on the complexity of the system you're working on and the size of your team, we're talking about something like 4-7 people working on that system. But let's see how it works in bigger teams where people are highly specialized and work in different departments. So imagine that's the big square, that's me. That's me. So imagine a feature, this chat feature is pulled from the backlog, and it's assigned to the game design department manager to come up with a concept. As we go through this exercise, I've came up with this people meter over there, so you can count in real time how many people are involved. So game design manager, he assigns work to his reports, who are responsible for UX design and feature design. They do their part of work, approve it with the game design manager, may go back and forth a couple of times. So, and after that, it goes for people responsible for execution. So it goes to engineering managers, it goes to art manager. They talk to game design manager about like what the design is it vague enough, is it ambiguous enough? Maybe they do some rough estimates. And then when it's ready for work, they like involve other guys, and they involve other guys, and they need to take into account the availability of engineers, availability of artists, dependencies, like days offs, and all that kind of stuff. Then eventually we go through it, right? We go through it, and it gets done, and gets submitted to QA, where more work is being generated for everybody who worked on that feature in form of bugs, right? Pew. And 19 people are involved in the process of making a relatively small feature. To make it more terrifying, let's look at the breakdown of like how many people, like how many managers and how many devs are actually involved into this. So it's like when we first started talking about it, it was like 6 developers. That's what we thought about. That's what we thought about how many people would need to make that feature. And of course, all those managers and team leads, they're not working full time on that thing, right? But they get stuck on coordination because they need to plan the resources, because they need to track dependencies, because they need to resolve conflicts, and they become actually a huge bottleneck. If you're coming from a small team, you could wonder, like, why? Why do you need all this? These managers are slowing everything down. Big teams are not effective. They're not efficient. Yes, you're right. You're right. But you're wrong as well. Big teams allow you to do something that small team cannot achieve. Because if we take that, if the team size is 6 people and they work on that chat feature, most likely they will not be able to work on anything else at the same time because they will all be busy with that thing. With bigger teams, you can do things simultaneously. And we need to remember that we're talking about an online title. A big online title that requires a very stable cadence of releases rich with features, releases rich with content, and high-quality releases. In our case, we operate with at least 3 versions at the same time. One is running on production servers, and there is always something with it, right? Those of you who work on online titles know that when something goes to live servers, there is something wrong with it. There are balance issues, there are bugs, somebody's PC configuration is not running the game correctly, like balance issues are found, and you need to deal with it. And hopefully you need to deal with it fast because otherwise you're going to upset your players and they're going to leave your game. The second version is the version that is the next version that goes to production, the one that is undergoing stabilization right now. Where there are tons of last-minute changes, bugs are fixed there is coordination with the publishing team, preparing everything, and it also generates tons of action items. And of course, there's like the next big thing, the next development version, where features are shaped, design changes, it's like prototypes are tested, and all stuff like this. E3 or any other convection build, anyone? It's like there's always something special that you need to make like last minute, and usually this special is so hacked. It's made specifically for the purpose of showing to journalists during the event, and it will never get to the actual build of the game in the way it was developed for the event. Never, because it's so bad. It may look pretty, but actually it's very bad. So remember that last slide where we looked at the workflow on one feature and how complex the information was there? The information flow was there? And imagine what happens when you have something like 30 or 40 features in development at the same time. Boom! Excuse me. It's just completely mind-blowing. When you think of it, there's so much stuff and so much complexity. It really explodes your mind. So we knew, since the very beginning, we knew that since day one, that we will have a lot of stuff to deal with, and this will be like very complex stuff. So in order to deal with those challenges, we decided, our initial decision was that we need to go with specialization, which is a rather common approach. I know a lot of major studios around the world who are doing it that way. They're departments, specialized people, and yeah, it's viable, and it's a rather common approach, and it's viable when you think of it, right? However, though specialization potentially improves productivity of one particular person or a department, it slows down large teams as a whole, slows down productivity of large teams by creating dependencies and complexity. And there was something else. There was something else that troubled us greatly at that point. This side effect, that other side effect I'm talking about, was way worse than complexity. department silos. What's department silos? This is when programmers say that artists are shit, and artists say that programmers are shit, right? Silo is a business term. This is a business term that has been passed around management boards for the last 30 years. And unlike other trendy management terms, it didn't disappear. It doesn't ever disappear, and it's considered, departmental silos are considered as the most growing pain for most organizations of all sizes. Ownership is very difficult here because you, as a feature owner, can't really affect the outcomes of all departments due to the conflict of interest. In departmental-based structure, people are evaluated and incentivized by what they do for their specific team and their specific department, and not for their contribution to the entire team. Right? And it also sounds absolutely logical. You're a good programmer, you're hired, you're giving tasks and stuff, you do them fast, you resolve everything, and you're a good programmer, right? But at some point, it was a very common situation for us when all tasks on features were complete, but we had nothing to ship to players. And that led to empty releases. Wargaming titles are based on an assumption that the lifetime of players is extremely long. We're counting our players' lifetime to be months and months and months, and preferably years, and that means that there is a strong need to update the game effectively and efficiently to keep those players engaged. We need to provide a high-quality service that evolves very rapidly, otherwise we're going to lose players. And at some point, we released several versions in a row with a very blank patch notes. There was nothing big in it, nothing meaningful in it. And what happens when you do this, right? Players start to complain. They start rage, they start whine everywhere. And yeah, we started seeing negative comments that the game is not developing fast enough, that players' concerns are not addressed, and so on. And this automatically affects your team in many different ways. They read players' feedback, right? They see that they're not happy, and their work is not appreciated, and it's painful. You as game developers all know that there is nothing worse, especially for people who actually do work, right? Not managers. For people who actually do work, the worst thing is that when they read bad things about their game. And this is the point where blame starts to appear. People start to blame each other. It's like we have done our part, but they haven't done their part. We screwed up because of this department or because of this department. Us and them became a very, very common thing. And then, of course, there is a pressure coming from upper management as well, right? They get reports from community guys, they push for results, the team crunches, they get through crunch, manage to get a decent deliverable, but then it gets to normal state, and it's again not productive enough. And it was scary. We knew that with current approach, we would never deliver something good. So we definitely knew we needed a change. We've experimented a lot with process. Talking about how we, the evolution of process in World of Warships is a completely different story, and I could actually prepare a separate talk for this. But no matter what we've done to our process, we haven't seen a meaningful increase in productivity across the studio. And we needed something different. We needed a change in mindset in how people think, about how people communicate, about how people care about each other. However, you know that everybody is afraid of change, right? Especially like me. Like, I've got a project to deliver, and I've got milestones, and I've got budgets, and it's like, what happens if I overhaul the entire team? Like, will it become better? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Will it work or will it not? So we started with a pilot. I will simplify this a little bit for the purpose of this example, so it is easier for you to follow. So basically what we've done, we took the most spread discipline across the entire studio, the UI, identified everybody who was involved into making UI features across the studio, and united them into a single team. One lead to rule them all. Co-location, we made sure that they all sat together in one room, not further than like half a meter away from each other. And one plan. They were all unified by one goal and one plan. Unfortunately, just around that change, we had to upgrade our chat system. And this time it was going to be something way more complex. Now, it's like during the same iteration time, we had to do six times more work. Because this time we had to do friends, we had to do like private channels, all this password protected rooms, and all that kind of stuff. So it looked like it is completely impossible. So let's go through the same thing one more time very quickly, how it turned out this time. So this time we're skipping the design department, and task goes straight to the new team's lead. He will be the feature owner of that thing. So he and his guys are coming up with the design, and this time, like, important thing that this time the squares, these are just actual people. These are not departments, so there is no additional layer of management. And another thing is that now they're cross-functional. They have almost everything they need to complete this on their own. So they're almost cross-functional. But usually what they lack for that chat feature, they don't have a server programmer, right, on their team, because they usually don't need it. So this time, instead of adding, again, those arrows and communication, what happens is that the feature owner talks to the manager, to the engineering manager, talks to the server engineer, and ba-bam, we've got a guest star. For the purpose of making that feature, we're physically moving one person to a different room. We take his desk, we take his chair, his computer, his brain, and move him to another room. So they all can work simultaneously on one thing. So what happens next? Well, work is being distributed. And now this team, it accumulated people from 5 different departments in one room. So before that, most likely, they would have needed to work one by one. One part is done, passed to another team. The team is done, passed to another team. Now, since they're all sitting in one room, they can work on that stuff simultaneously. And yes, and since they can talk to each other freely on a daily basis, like the moment one person has a question, he asks it and gets a reply like in a matter of seconds. Thus completely removing the problem of hands-offs, and reducing the amount of mistakes made due to communication failures. And remember how bad things ended up when QA stepped in? Like this time, work is so well isolated inside one team. And this time, this QA guy, this dedicated QA guy, he's been with the team all iteration long. He knew the tech stack, he knew the design, he had issues that the team came up, he'd been attending all the stand-up meetings. So this team is responsible for delivery of the feature. Their responsibility is to be good enough, their responsibility to be performant enough, their responsibility to be bug-free. So all they have to do is submit this feature for the final integration testing, and in the majority of cases, that's it. The thing is good enough for integration. Hallelujah, hallelujah, 9 people. And look at distribution, it's only 3 managers now, and the amount of developers is good. So by simplifying the structure, what we've done is that we've removed 10 unnecessary communication links and greatly improved the cycle time of that feature. Things got much better. Planning of features we done that way got way more predictable, and communication improved. And most importantly, this success story of this experiment removed the fear of change from the team, and leadership team also now has the proof that this actually could work. So we saw that, we collected data, we saw that it is good, and he saw it is good, right? And so we decided to go all in. In just 1 week, we did the following with the team. We took everybody involved in the production of game-related features, took a blender, like, ta-da! And that's what we ended up with. We completely switched to, somebody calls them strike teams, somebody else calls them feature teams, we call them feature teams. So there are no more design departments, no more engineering departments. All teams have their dedicated person of main functions. Each team owns their feature. Work is very well isolated. Teams have everything they need to complete their job. If they don't have something they need to complete their job, we would send somebody over. We would send somebody over for a month and a half, for 2 months, for however long it would be needed. And so what do we've got? What do we've got for doing this? Less complexity. Productivity increased. It increased by almost 6 times after we switched to that approach. We've started to deliver 6 times better. Our releases got much better. Planning became much more reliable. Ownership. Ownership became possible. Each feature is now owned by an exec team and an exec lead, and everybody knows who is owning that feature. With the old approach, like how you do it with the old approach. You take a backlog item, right? You divide the work in parts, you distribute the work, you manage the dependencies, and you hope for the best. How it works right now, I just take a feature, go to the team, hello, here, take this, let's develop this one. I'll be back in 3 weeks. Then after 3 weeks, thank you, here's 2 more, good work. And this is way better and way more performant. Next thing, leads now have time to work. Because the overall complexity of the system decreased, it actually spared a lot of time for team leads, like your most valued and most experienced people, to actually work. They don't spend entire days in meeting rooms anymore. They're not juggling Jira tickets. They're not writing meeting notes, who owned, who promised, who, what, and when, whatever. And they now have time to sit down, to talk with their people, to educate them, and actually do parts of work themselves. After all, they're like the most experienced guys. And if they have time and do some program magic, I have nothing against it. I like it. This is like the best thing ever. And they like it too, because yeah, coding is cool. Learning. Because different disciplines got unified and united, they can now all learn from each other's experiences on daily basis. So artists learn from programmers learn from QA, and everybody understands their pipeline is better, they get better education, they self-educate. Self-education makes better people makes better teams, people make better projects, right? All cool. And morale improved. Output and performance become very clear. The team is either delivers or not delivers. There is nothing in between. You either do your part of work, you either deliver a feature or you not deliver a feature. Output became much bigger, and we started to release rich updates. And people can now clearly understand what they're working on, instead of never-ending queue of tasks and bugs that you need to resolve. And because there are so many people on the team, It's like you don't feel that your work impacts like the final product, and that makes you sad. And with that approach, you can clearly understand, okay, if I do this, the players will receive this, this, and this. Players love the increase of speed and quality, and there was a lot of praise for the development team, and when players are happy, everybody is happy. And this increased motivation greatly. By the way, I'm sorry, a few words on motivation. Motivation is always a very hot topic, right? What do I do to motivate people? What I tell them? How do I approach? It's like, hello, are you motivated enough? Please be motivated because I want you to work faster. Yeah. And surprisingly, the change in the structure and the change in the approach in how we started working is very well described in this, I think this is the best book on motivation I ever read. It's the book by Daniil Volkov, Drive. And in his book, he says that in the 21st century, the carrots and sticks approach to motivation doesn't really work. This approach to motivation works only with mechanical tasks, tasks that are easy to complete, and tasks that do not require creativity. And to what I've experienced during my career, a lot of companies, especially if they're running the departmental structure, use this approach to motivation, right? And that's logical. That's logical. If you're bringing a person, you're bringing him on purpose because you've got a set of requirements he needs to complete. And if he completes them, he's good, right? But in reality, Pink's research shows that this approach actually causes negative consequences for people who do creative jobs. When they're being motivated with a carrot with a stick, they're not working better, they're working worse. And we game developers are all work in a very creative, environment. And not because we're making games. No, not because we're making games. Not because we have elves and orcs and techs and ships. No. Sorry. Because we as game developers, we solve issues on daily basis nobody else solved before. Even if your team is working on a game clone, most likely you're solving different issues the original team solved because you've got most likely a different technology stack, you've got a different team with different background, with different mindset. It's completely different. We solve creative issues nobody solved before on a daily basis. And according to Pink's book, there are three main things that affect motivation of people who are doing creative work. This is autonomy, this is mastery, and this is purpose. And feature teams, the concept of feature teams is exactly the environment that nurtures those three things. Teams are autonomous because they work on a relatively isolated piece of the game. Thank you. The disciplines in this team are autonomous as well because there are not that many programmers in one team and everybody is relying on one exact person. Mastery, there is less specialization in feature teams compared to departments, and teams they're not solving tasks, they're not resolving bugs, they're shaping features together. They're working on something way more complex. Creating something new is always more difficult. And this is what they do. And working on complex things improves your mastery. You become better. You become better with every day. And purpose. With that approach, when you're owning the entire solution, there is a clear purpose that without you, your team would not deliver. Without your team, the product will not improve. It was clear. It is clear. And it was contagious. When we switched to that approach, we saw those strike teams organized across the studio organically. Like people wanted to move to each other, they wanted to sit closer to those who affect their work, and it even got outside of development. So such departments as HR, they started to create their own improvised strike teams when they worked on something complex, on complex project. Like, it's like the way I'm telling you about this, I just love it, right? I just love it, and the way I tell you about this thing, it looks like this is a perfect solution that it solves all issues. No, it's not. It doesn't. But are we satisfied with the change? Yes. Is there room for improvement? Yes, of course. And I would like also to say a few bad things about this approach. Like, if you ever consider to do something similar, there are bad things as well. It is difficult to keep the vision, both creative and technical. As features now are developed faster, and the preparation time is much shorter, sometimes it's difficult to make sure that everybody in the team, in the entire team, is aware of all the changes that are coming in. Also, as teams get more freedom to find the exact solution they find fit, it causes desyncs in creative vision and in technology vision across the organization. So though sometimes it causes conflicts, I would choose those conflicts over slow development any time of the day. Some disciplines are hard to implement at a feature teams concept. Basically, what happens is that some part of your team can be unified into feature teams. The other part of the team, for example, like guys who create content, right? It's really difficult and doesn't really make a lot of sense. And what you can see is that if you do not explain this well enough, you could see a split in your team that some people are better and they work with advanced methodologies, and some people are worse and work the old way. So this is actually very dangerous and need to be monitored very carefully. There are still some silos. This time it's not departmental silos, this time it's team silos. But basically how it changed, the blame changed to trolling. Like performant teams that perform good start to troll underperforming teams. It might sound like it's healthy, because like a little bit of challenge might be good, a little bit of competition. But in reality, you want stronger teams to help weaker teams, and this is the healthy way. Difficult to scale. When we were designing this approach, we thought it would be easy to scale, right? For example, you've got a new area. For example, like we're launching in China, and there are a lot of China-specific features that need to be developed. You just create a new feature team for that, and here they go. In reality, it's not that simple, because for these people, you want them to be very experienced, and you want them to be very proactive, because they will make decisions. You want them to make decisions. And finding these kind of people is way more difficult. Now when we're, like for example, when we need a new programmer, he needs to undergo like a huge training, a relatively long training, something like 6 months long, because we want him to make decisions. When he will be doing his own features, we want him to make decisions. And we want him to know architecture, we want him to know the team, so the decisions are good. Because if the decisions are bad, he and his team will not be able to deliver. And nobody likes people on their teams that are not delivering. One thing that happened to us when we switched to that system is that we had to let some people go. Because basically, when we transitioned from departments to team, we had to demote people. Not promote, but demote. So if there was a manager, he is now supposed to become a team lead with a much smaller team, and his title on the business card is not as sexy anymore. And yeah, for some people, titles are very important. So but on the other hand, if you have people who care more about their title than about their profit to the project, maybe this is a good idea to let them go. But this is dangerous. So I believe it is time to sum up what we've been talking about in this presentation. And I will try to identify some key takeaways that I hope could help you on your workplace in case you need to ramp up your team or have problems with delivery and communication. Before hiring, make sure you structure. Your structure is ready. Bringing more people to your product is a good thing because you can do more. But it is also very dangerous, as bringing way too many people could cripple your studio, as it almost happened to us. Look at your structure, like identify like how many people you want to have, like what amount of people will satisfy you, what will close all your requirements, and see how it maps to your org chart. Are there too many arrows, how they will communicate? And it should be a good idea to know how you want to structure those people before you hire them. And it really requires some thinking to go with, like, imagine how they will talk to each other. Engagement is way more important than process. I love process. Process helps. It helps to like stabilize stuff. It helps to improve stuff. But if you have people issues on your team, process will not help. The most important thing is that fix those people issues, fix communication, and if that works, if your team collaborates, if they care about each other, they will do the process for you. Definitely. The performance of a system is not the sum of its parts. It's the product of its interaction. Value is what players see. They only care about value that you deliver. They don't care if you're running Kanban or Scrum. They don't care how well like your teams are organized. All they care is about the stuff that you deliver. Like, I love Scrum. I love Scrum. Introducing Scrum may not increase your delivery, right? But having a programmer to poke across an artist's shoulder on a daily basis, and he sees that the artist, like the majority of his of time he spends during workday, is doing some crazy routine over and over and over again every day for 4 hours long. And he comes over and says like, what the hell? Why are you doing this? I can fix this for you. I can write you a script and it will be done in like 15 minutes instead of 4 hours. These things increase the value delivery. These things like this increase the value creation. And finally, find a way, I know this sounds philosophical, yes, but find a way to let players influence the result. Let your people feel that what they do is actually brings purpose. And yeah, and if you manage to do this, they will definitely surprise you. Action stations. Thank you.
Можно по-русски. На вопросы я по-русски смогу. Первый вопрос будет про арт-департмент, потому что я заметил, вы его все равно оставили отдельно. И как процесс налажен взаимодействия с арт-департментом у фича-команд, у страйк-команд, и как это вообще работает в вашем случае?
Да, соответственно, с арт-департаментом получилась следующая штука. Ну, понятно, что перемешивать их особо не надо, да, потому что, ну, арт — это все-таки поточное производство, и она такая достаточно вещь в себе. У нас на самом деле большая команда. Там вот я говорил про то, что 240 человек, порядка 100 — это вот именно товарищи, которые занимаются артом. Что они сделали? Они вот после того, после того, как произошла вот эта вот метаморфоза, они побились тоже по таким импровизированным страйк-командам. Ну, грубо говоря, там у нас основной контент — это юниты, да? Корабли мы делаем. Вот, и, соответственно, они побились, что вот эта группа делает японцев, это делает американцев, и они вот так мешают там моделеров, текстировщиков вместе, чтобы они тоже как-то вместе работали. Так ответил на вопрос?
Меня больше волнует взаимодействие арт-департмента с фичер-командами. Как у них происходит взаимодействие, потому что это иногда бывает, ну, я не знаю, мне кажется, это трудно. Именно с арт-департментом, потому что арт влияет на конечный продукт очень сильно. И качество там ассета очень, очень влияет на финальный продукт. Ассет очень трудно оптимизировать, когда он уже сделан. И это может привести к куче там перетасовок между фичер-командой и арт-департментом.
Соответственно, вот основное взаимодействие между, собственно, артом и, собственно, у арта есть как бы поточное производство, да, и есть история, которая связана с технологиями, то, как это экспортится, пайплайны. И вот эти товарищи, они сидят рядом с программистами, и они вот прям вот так, прям в одной комнате сидят. И все, что касается вот имплементации арта в игру, оно вот так. Им нравится. Наверное.
Скажите, а работа над процессом у вас идет непрерывно или это результат анализа каких-то ошибок, и она проводится после обнаружения этих ошибок? И кто занимается этим процессом?
Соответственно, смотрите, у нас, грубо говоря, вот когда вот эта история вся произошла, у нас разные команды работают по разному процессу. Соответственно, одна команда, да, у нас есть команды, которые работают по скраму, есть команды, которые работают по канбану, есть команды, которые вообще непонятно как работают. Вот. Ну, соответственно, единственное требование. Ты доставляешь результат, работай вот как на твою команду ложится, так и ложится. Если говорить на верхнем уровне, грубо говоря, моя команда, да, у нас есть, соответственно, там ряд определенных синхронизаций и там планерок, где, собственно, весь скоп планируется того, как мы будем работать. У каждой команды, представители каждой команды синхронизируются каждый день. Вот, такой, можно сказать, что это Scrum of Scrums. Ну, не у всех есть Scrum, но вот Scrum of Scrums есть. Работа соответственно, история по развитию процесса, там все стандартно, ретроспективы, там туда-сюда. Здесь плохо было, давайте сделаем по-другому.
То есть это текущий, да, какой-то процесс?
Да, конечно.
Еще один короткий вопрос. По поводу качества кода. Я смотрю, у вас как бы люди между тасками как бы прыгают, да? И мне кажется, что в таком подходе очень сложно сохранять хорошее качество кода, равномерное покрытие, чтобы люди знали другие части проекта. И есть ли у вас проблемы с этим?
Да, это, собственно, один из слайдов, который это у меня был, это то, что вот эта вот история, она размывает вижен как креативный, так и технический. Как у нас сделано? Соответственно, у нас есть вот там вот пачка команд, которые пишут код, и есть все-таки центральный товарищ, он им не говорит, что делать, но когда они коммитят, он туда одним глазочком посматривает, и если что, приходит. Чтобы все не развалилось.
Скажите еще, пожалуйста, как вот вы в команде, когда вы только начали делить, как вы определяли, как вы заражали всю остальную команду вот юнита желанием сделать этот вот отдельную фичу? Просто проблема, наверное, еще, мне кажется, сейчас попытаюсь объяснить, проблема мотивации, возможно, того, что люди привыкли там работать как-то над своими отдельными там. Кто-то кодит, кто-то там чисто сидит в геймдизайне, то тут, короче, их всех свели в одну тусовку и сказали, вот это вот фича. То есть я не знаю, как это у вас произошло. Вот мне просто интересно, как долго происходил переход к тому, что это как отдельный общий проект для команды.
Соответственно, сам факт перехода, он состоял из нескольких очень интересных встреч. Собственно, там была серия неприятных релизов. И там как бы собрались все лиды, я так тщательно распечатал патчноуты, с которыми мы вышли, как бы повесил их на стеночку, рядом вешал там то, что должно было туда попасть. Мы на это тихонечко посмотрели, и я говорю, ребят, давайте вот что-то делать. Смотрите, мы сделали эксперимент, работает же, давайте вот так. Потом я заучил речь, мы там поделили, кто там как поделится. Там у ребят, ребята, которые согласились возглавить эти фичи-команды, они сами разобрали остальных, кого они хотят, чтобы вот к ним они пошли, потому что там с кем-то они работали до этого, там, с кем-то у них отношения получше. Вот они чувствуют, что там вот эти товарищи, там, им нужны, что они смогут с ними вместе работать. Вот. Они вот так вот этот народ разобрали, пошли с ними проговорили, я заучил речь, и потом вот каждая вот эта группка собиралась, я им рассказывал, как важно то, что вот мы все здесь вместе сегодня собрались, и все, и погнали. Вот, там, да, на самом деле это все произошло очень быстро, там вот так, 4. И да.
Понятно, спасибо. Еще вопросы?
Да. Раз. Да, спасибо. У меня такой вопрос. Вот вы во время переключения, пересборки вот этих команд, я могу себе представить, что у каждой команды, например, у QA, у программистов был какой-то большой бэклог текущих задач. И этот бэклог никуда не делся. Теперь фича-команда должна каким-то образом решать задачи, которые накопились.
Да, соответственно, мы вот этот первый заход именно на эти фичи команды, он был со стороны игровых фичей. Да? Вот. И там так получилось, что мы взяли там 4 направления. Это было, там мы их называли там стрельба и damage модель, экономика, карты, режимы и что-то там еще было. Неважно. Вот, грубо говоря, мы вот всю вот эту вот игровую часть поделили на 4 части, и все забрали себе весь долг, вот, который там лежал в этой части, все себе этот долг тоже забрали, и его там потихонечку наверстывают.
Понял. Второй связанный вопрос. После того, как появилась вот эта свежая фича-команда, что происходит в ней, когда какие-то ее члены не доиспользуются? То есть, например, вы привели в пример чат, QA-инженер, ему еще нечего QA-ить, если вы не используете CI, например. Но я могу привести какие-то аналогичные примеры, когда кому-то натурально нечего еще делать. Что он тогда делает?
Соответственно, смотрите, поделать есть всегда чего.
Это понятно, но интересен процесс.
Соответственно, здесь тяжело это надо там садиться рисовать, про то, что вот у нас там 3 версии одновременно идут, и, соответственно, если нет чего по девелопить, обязательно есть чего по QA или по настраивать, или по багафиксить версии, которые вот сейчас вот скоро выходят на продакшн. Вот. Потом, если там опять же говорить про QA, у нас осталась, собственно, большая команда QA, в которой там есть там автоматизация, всякое там перформанс-тестирование и так далее. И, соответственно, если вот, как бы человек там с утра приходит, там на стендапе они поговорили о чем-то, вот, и он понимает, что у него как бы, сегодня он никак не может команде вот своей помочь. Он там идет в большой QA и говорит, давайте я чем-нибудь помогу. И то же самое с геймдизайнерами.
Спасибо. И последний вопрос. Что происходит, когда фича какая-то очень большая, слишком большая для одной фичи команды?
Работаем в 2. Это на самом деле довольно часто бывает. Соответственно, если вот очень надо, чтобы ее вот заделиверить вот там в ближайший апдейт, то мы их там как-то там мержим, чтобы они там вместе работали. Вот. Если как бы не нужно, чтобы она там в следующий апдейт попадала, там в одну версию делает свою часть там одна команда, а во вторую версию может другая сделать. И на самом деле в основном вот с UI происходит. То есть, грубо говоря, там вся логика готова, весь геймдизайн готов, и его нужно донести до игроков. Вот UI он доносит именно до игроков. Но стараемся на самом деле все, грубо говоря, даже самые большие фичи мы пытаемся в одну итерацию все-таки запихнуть.
Давайте еще один вопрос.
Thank you. And I want to motivate maybe your English part as well. I apologize if somebody already asked this, what I'm going to ask now. I wish we could move people around like that, but we are 90% a distributed company. So I was wondering if you have any special advice. Can you virtualize what you mentioned about rooms, or what tools you use, like Slack, Fabricate, or Asana, whatever, and what special adaptations you make if you have a distributed company as well.
Unfortunately, we've got, so Wargaming is a big company, and we've got a preset tools that we use. So we use Confluence, we use Jira, and the main communication tool is Skype, right? So the main advice would be is to try to make them talk to each other as often as possible. I know there is always a lot of resistance, like, why do I want to talk to this guy? Like, I have nothing to discuss. I work. But you really may want to try to explain them that this is to their benefit. This is not, it's like maybe you will hear something important they need to solve. Maybe they need your help. Maybe you could use help from others. And it's actually, it's especially difficult in CIS environment because Russian people, it's like one of the biggest problem of Russian developers is that they will never ask for help. It's like they would crunch, they would stay overnight, but they will never say that they're having a problem. And this is their biggest issue. And if you're not working with Russian people, you may actually have like more chances of succeeding in making sure that people communicate. So sorry, but no ideas on additional tools that you can use. Yes, I know, because, well, I believe I understand what kind of problems are you having, because basically, like, the stuff we started with, this is basically a distributed team, right? And this is, like, co-location really helps, but you don't have this opportunity. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Спасибо большое, Данила.
Все?
Да, если вы ищите... еще один
Последний.
вопрос. Ну, давайте еще один.
Подскажите, пожалуйста, а как происходит фича команда? Вы формируете постоянно новую команду под какую-то фичу, или у вас есть уже определенные команды, там, заточенные на рендере, допустим, или заточенные на там, нете, на UI, и вы там заходят UI-ные таски, и вы там им отдаете, либо там какая-то вот сейчас нужна там определенная фича, и вы формируете уже из новых людей новую команду. Как этот процесс? Я просто не совсем понял.
Да, на самом деле у нас есть как бы команды, и они не меняются. Они вот как вот один раз были созданы, они вот с тех пор не менялись, они оставались вот такими, какие они есть. Но что получилось? Там в какой-то момент у одной из команд получилось гораздо больше работы. Вот. Ну то есть там количество фичей, которые им нужно было заделиверить для определенного майлстоуна, оно там превышало, ну невозможно было это сделать. И, соответственно, что мы сделали? Мы просто раздали эти фичи в остальные команды. Ну, там не все знали, да, эту часть кода. Ну, там чуть-чуть подольше они это делали. Но зато теперь они знают эту часть кода, и можно снова что-нибудь давать.
Ну да, ну, в общем, команды затачиваются на определенных задачах.
Да-да-да. Команды, ну, грубо говоря, у них есть... Да, они не развиваются. Вот, у них есть какая-то зона проекта, в которых они там варятся, ну, в которую они очень хорошо знают. Вот. Но если надо, им можно там с другого конца что-нибудь подсунуть, и они обязательно сделают.
Все, спасибо большое, Данил.
Спасибо вам большое.